Hey Bears, so before you guys start kind of working on your corrections, I would take a look at this video. Really, this is the pre-test that you guys took, actually back in the 4 glorious days that we were in person together. So really your pre-test was really similar to your test that you took last week. It just changed the numbers around a little bit. So really, I'm just going to go through your pre-tests and kind of talk about how to solve those problems. Hopefully, seeing them worked out, you guys can kind of use that when you guys are doing your corrections in order to set up your ratios correctly. When you are doing your corrections, I will not take any, you will not get any points back if you are not showing me those ratio setups. Because obviously it's a ratio test. Being able to set them up equal to each other and solve for x is kind of the whole point of this unit. So I'm just going to start with all these problems. So I'll try to, at the beginning at least, be like, oh, problem 1, problem 2. So that way if you guys, obviously some of us are only looking at a few questions, you kind of know which one to look at. So this is problem 1. So we have Raul's helping make dinner with his family. He's making a sauce for the chicken. We're using 1/3 cup of broth per serving of chicken. He has a container with 1 3/4 cup of broth left. How many servings can he make for the sauce? So with all of these ratio problems, we're setting up 2 ratios equal to each other. And all of these hashtag information can be found in the problem. One we know is going to be x, and that's what we solve for. So it tells us that he is using 1/3 cup of broth per 1 serving of chicken. So we have 1/3 broth. I'm going to include my units just because we know we need to keep our units the same across from each other. If you guys choose not to do that, I'm okay with that. And we know that's per 1 serving. So we have 1/3 broth per 1 serving. And it tells us that we have a container with 1/3 3/4 cup of broth left. So we have 1 and, if I can type, 3/4 cups of broth left. And we're solving for this unknown. We want to know how many servings is that going to give us. So we have this rate, we have this much. I want to know how many servings that can give us. Now's the part where we're going to cross multiply and divide. So we know we do 1 1/3, or I don't know why I keep saying 1/3. 1 3/4 times 1. Anything times 1 is just itself. And we end up doing 1 3/4 divided by 1/3. That's a lot of division. That's a lot of fractions. I will just be point blank. That's not a pretty math problem. That's an ugly math problem. So the first thing that I'm going to do is change this 1 3/4 into an improper fraction. In order to do that, we take our whole number, multiply it by our denominator, add our numerator. 1 times 4 is 4, plus 3 is 7. You leave your denominator the exact same. I'm going to add a space there. So now we're left with 1/4 divided by 1/3. Now that looks a little bit better, but we know when we divide fractions, we keep switch flip. And so we're going to keep this the same, change divide to multiply, and flip that into the reciprocal. When we multiply fractions, we multiply them numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. We end up with 21/4. All of this is correct so far. However, I don't see 21/4 as an answer choice. So we need to simplify this fraction down. And 21 divided by 4. In order to simplify, you do numerator divided by denominator. 21 divided by 4 gives us an answer of 5.25. So we can make 5 servings of chicken. We cannot make 6 because we don't have enough to make 6. It's just a little bit over 5. Yes, you could make 3. You can make 4. But if we want the highest number amount, we can make 5 servings of chicken. All right, problem 2, I did not like the wording of this, so I changed it a little bit on your test. So it told us that we had 20 ounces of granola in this mix. So we know at some point we're going to end up with 20 ounces of granola. And they tell us that the ratio of peanuts to granola is 1:4. So remember, our ratio is given in the order of those numbers. We know that there is 1 peanut and 4 granola. All right. So again, I would just always cross multiply and divide. There are other ways, but just to kind of stay consistent, that's just kind of the way I'll be explaining these. So 20 times 1 is 20. 20 divided by 4 gives us 5 peanuts. So for that problem, the answer would be 5. And again, this is your pretest. Obviously, the answers are a little bit different on your test, so just make sure you're kind of following this process so that way you can do your test correctly. All right, problem number 3. Again, we are given a rate. So we know that we are doing half a mile in each 1/3 of an hour. So we're going half a mile in 1/3 of an hour. So they tell us that. That's our first initial rate. I'm going to set that up as a ratio. We know ratios can be fractions. I know it gets a little bit confusing when there's fractions in a fraction, but just kind of bear with me for this. So what is Tina's walking rate? And all of these are per hour. So I want to know what she is doing per 1 hour. So we're looking for the unit rate per hour. Again, cross multiply, 1.5 times 1. Anything times 1 is just itself. 1/2 divided by, sorry, I lost track of my thoughts on that one. So we're going to end up doing 1/2 divided by 1/3. Again, we are dealing with dividing of fractions. So hopefully in your head, you're already saying keep, change, flip, keep, switch, flip. Either one works. Keep, switch, flip. Numerator times numerator is 3 times 1. 2 times 1 is 2. So we end up with 3/2 miles per hour. All right, problem 4 is very similar. So again, they give us this rate. We're making salsa. We say we can use half a cup for every 1/8 of a cup to make this salsa. And this is 1/2 tomatoes. I'm just going to put T. And 1/8 of an onion. All right, so they tell us that we are going to use 1 cup of tomato. Set that equal to your tomatoes. And I'm trying to figure out how many onions I'm using. This is my unknown. So again, I would cross multiply and divide. So 1/8 times 1, anything times 1 is just itself. So 1/8 divided by 1/2. Hopefully, if you guys have done a few of these, you're already saying keep, change, flip. So we're going to have 1/8 divided by 1/4. We're going to keep, change, flip into that reciprocal. Okay, I paused that because I wasn't sure what I was doing wrong. So what I'm doing wrong is this is not 1/4. This should be 1/2 based on my problem above. So this ends up being 1/8 times 2/1. I couldn't figure out why I wasn't getting there. So we need to do our numerator times our numerator. 2 times 1 is 2. Denominator times denominator. 8 times 1 is 8. If I look at my answer choices, 2/8 was not 1. This can be simplified. Both are divisible by 4. You end up with, or both are divisible by 2. You end up with 1/4. Okay, problem 5. I am not going to go through the exact answer, but I will kind of help you guys get started because this is copy and pasted directly on your test. So if the paint to cover the canvas costs $4.50, what's the price per square foot? So we need to know how many square feet are in this rectangle. Hopefully you'll remember we do base times height. So 4.5 times 2 gives us an area of 9. So we have 9 square feet. And to cover that, it costs me $4.50. That's your first ratio. And we want to know what is the price per square foot. So we have 1 square foot. I'll get my units in here for you guys. So this was 9 square feet. We have 1 square feet. And I'm looking to solve for this. So you should cross multiply and divide. That should give you your value per square foot. All right, problem 6. So we have this flagpole, and we know it's 21 feet long. At the same time, we have this rate of this building and its height and length as well. So I'm going to start with the building over here. We know it's 109 feet high, and it is 54 feet long. So we have a height and we have a length. That's for our building. We're going to set that equal to our flagpole. So our flagpole is 29 feet long. 21, I'm not sure what I just said, sorry. 21 feet long, and I'm looking to solve for x up here. So, and again, we're going to cross multiply and divide. 109 times 21 gives us a value of 2,289. Divide that by 54. I get 42.38 forever and ever and ever. It says approximate it. So I look at my answer choices. Which of those is close to my answer? 42 is about the closest, so I'd say it's 42. All right, question 7 is really close to question 6. So I'm going to take a shot that if you missed one, you probably missed them both. So you're here again. Yay. So we have this flagpole. This time they give us both of their measurements. It's 49 feet flagpole. I'm going to put pole. Yeah. So it's 49 feet tall for my flagpole, and I have a 21-foot shadow. All right, and then I have this man standing next to the flagpole, and he has a 3.5-foot shadow. Again, the reason I was trying to make sure my units were correct is because you always want them set up next to each other. So again, we have 3 values. I'm looking for that top one, cross multiply and divide to solve for x. If I do that, I get a value of 6.5. My man is 6.5 feet tall. All right, problem 8. I had a lot of questions while you were doing this test. Most of you were off to a really good start. That was awesome to see. So really, they kind of give you the setup for you, and we want to know what x is going to be in this problem. So what I kind of started off telling students when they were asking for questions, I said, okay, what if I just took this away for a second, and I just gave you guys this problem, and I said, okay, tell me what x is going to equal. Every student I asked that to told me, okay, x is going to be, this is times 7, so I need to do 3 times 7. This equals 21 down here. But this value is not what x equals. So this actually is going to be set equal, if I can drag this away, to x plus 4. So I want to know what number minus 4, I think I said plus, I really can't talk, I'm sorry. So I need a number minus 4 that's going to give me a value of 21. So if you think about your subtraction, x is actually going to be 25 because x minus 4 equals 21. 25 minus 4 equals 21. So I'm going to borrow this, put it back up. So my value over here should be, oops, that's not true because we want that to be 21. So I would bring this one back up, and that is a true statement. So x should be 25. All right, for problem 9, I'm just going to kind of keep this graph and just really go through. Really what you guys, I would go through, I'll kind of go over the first 2 and leave you guys to decide if C or D is correct. Based on this graph, we have our minutes down here. We have our water in gallons up here. Remember, your point is always your x value and then your y. X is over here, y is over here. So A tells us that in 20 minutes, 20 minutes is over here, I use 10 gallons of water. 2010 is over here. This is not on the line, so that is not true. Or it's not what 5:15 represents. So then in 15 minutes, do I use 5 gallons of water? No, that's also not true. In 10 minutes, do I use 15 gallons of water? You'll have to determine that yourself. And in 5 minutes, do I use 15 gallons of water? So again, this is copy and pasted, so I'm not just going to flat out say, okay, it's this one. But you really just want to test the graph out and say, okay, is this true? Is this not true? All right, question 10, we're getting into our percents. So it tells us that the number of cars on a highway increased by 6% this year. Now we have 795 cars. Okay, I think I changed this one on your test too. So I'm going to say we started with 795 cars. We're increasing by 6%. So how many cars are there now? So again, we want to do a percent over 100. So they tell us it's 6% over 100. I started with 795 cars. I want to know how many are going to be on the road now. Again, I changed it from the problem that's being read. So 795 times 6 divided by 100, cross multiply and divide to solve for this x value. I get 47, a little over 47 cars. However, I want to know how many cars there are now. So I started with this many. Now I'm having this increase. Think of it like a tax or a markup. There are going to be more. So I need to add these two values together. If I do 47.7 plus 795, I end up with a value of 842 and 70 cars. That's not an answer choice over there because I changed the problem. I didn't like what it was asking you. So it should be, if you were to do this problem, solve this out, add these two, that is your new value. All right, for problem 11, there's a few ways that you can solve this problem. I think the easiest way is because we know this is going to be a percent over 100, and this is our kind of value that percent is going to have happen, and our original cost is down here. So first thing, I just need to figure out what the difference in cost between this jacket with the sales tax and the jacket without the sales tax is going to be. So I'm going to take $37.29 minus $34.85. That gives me a value of $2.44. So when I did my percent times my cost divided by 100, I got $2.44. I added those, and that's how I got the final cost of my jacket. So in order to find what sales rate I was using, now we have our ratio problems like we like to set up. We're looking for that missing value. 244 times 100 is 244 divided by 34.85. You get a value of 7.001 with a lot of decimals after that. So that is about 7%. So it's approximate. So that's how we can do problem 11. All right, problem 12. So I am driving, or I'm getting a ride uptown. The fare is $12.78. I'm going to give a 20% tip. I want to know how much change I should ask for. So regardless of what that question is asking, we know we're going to do a percent over 100 equals X over our cost. I still need to figure out how much of a tip I'm going to give this man. So we have X over the cost. Cross multiply and divide. In order to solve for X, we're going to do 20 times 1278 divided by 100. He gets about a $2.56 tip. Not a lot, but it wasn't a very expensive fee anyway. So I need to know, lost my text box, how much I'm actually paying this taxi driver. So my bill was $12.78. I'm going to add $2.56. So the total cost that I paid him was $15.34. I'm going to hand him a 20, subtract $15.34 from that, and that will give you the amount that you are going to pay this taxi driver. So if I take 20 minus $15.34, I get a value of equals $4.66. That is how much change that taxi driver should give me. All right, so then we had a problem with these notebooks. So the first thing, we know half of this is going to be our percent over 100. We've done that enough. We know it's 7%. We always put our percent over 100. And this is going to be our total cost down here. But in order to find our total cost, I need to figure out what I actually bought. So I bought this one textbook. It cost $74.95. I bought 4 notebooks for $8.75 each. That means I need to do $8.75 plus $8.75 plus $8.75 plus $8.75. All added to that $74.95 gives me a total of $109.95. Once you get to this step, it's pretty straightforward. So 7 times 109.95 divided by 100, we get about $7.70. I rounded up a little bit. So that is how much we are paying in sales tax. You guys should know by now that we add our sales tax to our original cost. So $7.70 plus $109.95. We end up with a total of $117.65. All right, and our last problem, problem 15. So we had a dinner bill costing us $20.50. It is marked down by a coupon. We're getting 25% off. What a bargain. That percent goes over 100. And our total cost was $20.50. Think about your dream vacation project. This is what we did on our, I think your meals were discounted. So we need to figure out what we are getting off of that bill. 25 times 2050 divided by 100 is 5.125. We're going to round that to 5.13. What is the amount of bill that's not going to be paid? That's your X value. Remember, that's the amount that you are saving. You are not paying that amount, so we would not spend $5.13. All right, I know the last couple got mixed up a little bit, but hopefully you guys should be able to determine which question goes with which video. You guys are more than welcome to start working on your corrections. Again, this part has to be in there. That's the entire part of the unit. Obviously, when you guys are at home, I can't really determine if you're setting these up or not. But if you are asking for points back, I need to be able to see your two ratios. So if you have questions, let me know. Otherwise, you may get started. Don't forget this is due by Friday.